Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shaelene and in today's video I want to talk about my 2020 reading goals. Last year I didn't really have any reading goals. The only reading goal I had really was to read 50 books. And I felt like that was something that was going to be difficult for me, considering that it was just, my first year getting back into reading last year. I thought I'd have a harder time reading 50 books, but honestly, I reached my goal of reading 50 books in like August. I have read so many books in 2019, and I plan to read even more books in 2020. We're just going to get into the video. First goal is one that I'll be trying to accomplish all year long. I want to read 100 books this year. Now 100 is a pretty big number in terms of books and pages and words. So I am a little scared that I may not be able to read 100 books, but considering how I ended the year, I'm pretty confident that I might be able to get to 100 books if my reading is consistent, if I don't hit any major slumps, and if my health stays okay enough for me to continue reading. Right now, I feel like I'm set up in the perfect environment for me to read. I have a new iPad that I can read my ebooks on and some library ebooks on. That just makes for my e-reading to be so much easier. I have plenty of physical books at home to read. And I also have a wide range of access to my library now, so I literally have no limits in my reading. So yeah, it's gonna be a great reading year and I'm very excited for it. But one thing I will say is I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself to achieve my reading goal of reading 100 books. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Life is life. My next goal is to have realistic monthly TBRs. Towards the end of the year, I went a little crazy with my TBRs. Like, I was putting like 15 books, 10 books at a time on my TBR, and it was completely unachievable. I ended up not getting to a lot of them. So this year, my goal is, if I do a TBR, which probably for the first 3 months of the year here, like in January, February, March, I'm not going to have a set TBR. I'm just going to read what I want to read and see if I'm more of a mood reader or more of a planning reader, because I never really experimented with mood reading before. So that's what I'm doing for like the first quarter of the year, I guess you could say. And so yeah, if I do a TBR this year, it's going to be 4 physical books and 4 ebooks, and I still even think that's probably a little too much. But I think that's a little more achievable than what I was going for before. So it would probably be like, 2 library books, 2 books that I already own for physical books, and then whatever ebooks I want to read. I think that's much more realistic for me to achieve. Another reading goal that I want that is also tied to my TBRs is that I want to be more flexible with my TBRs. I don't want to be really bummed out because I didn't get to this book this month, or I only read a certain number of books that month and I didn't read as many as I wanted. So I just need to tone it down on the big TBRs and just read naturally as it comes. And just yeah, not worry myself too much with what I am reading or what I'm not reading or what I never got to. And so my next goal is to read what I want and not just books that I have planned for videos. When I was making this list of goals for this year, I was looking at all the list of videos that I wanted to make, in the coming months, in the coming years, whatever. And a lot of them were focused around reading books that I weren't 100% particularly interested in. I knew I would have to kind of, force myself to read them if I wasn't in the mood to read them. So I just really want to read what I want to read this year. I don't want to read books that I think will make a really great video and, you know, read books just to get views on BookTube. I think that's just kind of stupid. I know it's not going to make me happy, and it's probably going to make me miserable while reading, so I'm just going to read the books that I actually want to read and just not care if the book is going to make for a good or a bad video or not. My next goal is to read more book series. If you haven't seen my video where I discuss the top 7 book series that I want to read, I suggest you go check that out. I'll have a link in the description where you can go and see that video, or maybe in the eye somewhere. But yeah, I want to get into reading more book series. I'm more of a single book kind of reader as opposed to a series reader. So yeah, there's just a lot of book series that I want to get to, and I think this is the year that I'm going to try to tackle some of those. But my next goal, it's a pretty big one, and one that I constantly kind of have to check myself in with to make sure that it's not occurring, and, you know, don't get caught up in the hype surrounding books. So I had a big problem last year, especially in the beginning of the year where I was becoming, you know, a new reader, just entering the reading world again, where I would encounter a book that's been very hyped up, and I am, you know, seeing all these positive reviews from like everyone and hardly any negative reviews, and I am just utterly convinced that if I read this book, it's going to be a favorite and I'm going to have the same opinions of everybody else. But the world doesn't work that way. I seem to have a lot of differing opinions on popular books, especially YA books, when it comes to reading sometimes. So I really need to be mindful of the books that I'm hyping myself up for. I just need to go into books with, you know, just a neutral opinion of them. So yeah, I can't get caught up in the hype. My next goal is to limit my book buying, especially for full-priced books, and I only want to buy books that I have read and loved, or books that I want to buy that I can't find anywhere else, like at the library or at the thrift store, etc. So yeah, I mean, last year was my first year getting back to reading. I wasn't even signed up to the library, I mean, until probably like, I never started receiving books until like October. So I ended up spending my money on a lot of books, a lot of full-price books. I'm on, you know, unlimited income, so I can't be spending a lot of money on books, and I think now that I'm signed up to the library this year, it's going to be my go-to place for reading books that have just been recently released that I want to read. Which also ties into my next goal, which is use the library more, which I think is going to be an easily achievable goal for me. It's free books. You get to read books for free. They literally send them to me. So my next goal is a pretty big one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to achieve this or how realistic it's going to be. In terms of when I read, I'm very much a mood reader. If I'm in the mood to binge watch a series, I binge watch a series. If I'm in so much pain that I physically can't read, then I just don't read and I just watch TV. So when I read is very much determined on how I feel and what I feel, and yeah, so I want to try to read at least 20 days out of the month. I don't know if that's going to be possible. I guess we'll just see what happens. I am probably going to track my reading in an app and just see how that goes, see if this app, I think it's called Bookly, will help me kind of keep track of my reading goals. So I think that will be something very interesting for me to do, see if I stick with it. I'll stick with it for like the first 3 months and like see how it goes. And if it's not going great, then, you know, whatever, at least I tried. That's all for today. That's my reading goals for 2020. I feel like these reading goals are pretty, you know, reserved. They're not big goals, but they are something that I do want to achieve. So if you guys enjoyed this video, you can go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I will leave the links to my Instagram, my Goodreads, and my Twitter in the description below. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!